Good morning and welcome to the financial year 2024 earnings call for Regency Petroleum Company Limited. Now, in 2024, Regency would have done $1.63 billion in revenue, which is no small feat. So without further ado, please help me to welcome the CEO of RPL, Mr. Andrew Williams, who will be hosting this earnings call today. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you, Renee. And thanks, everyone. Thanks to the LGI team for facilitating this process or accommodating us to our earnings call for the year 2024. Yeah, man, thanks, guys. All right, so we'll start off with an opening prayer. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, as we come to you this morning, we again give you thanks for your mercies and blessings upon us, Father. We thank you for life. We thank you for all that you have provided for us. We thank you for the company Regency Petroleum, Father, and what it has been doing. We thank you for our shareholders. We thank you for all that you have given to them and all that you have given to us, all the accomplishments for Regency Petroleum thus far, as we surrender our operations to you and put everything into your control, oh Father. As we go through this earnings call today, we ask that you be with us, strengthen us, help us, oh Father, to display and extend to our shareholders and the audience all what has been happening to Regency Petroleum and what has been happening within Regency Petroleum. And we thank you once more for all that you have given to us, everything, all your blessings, all your mercies. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, so welcome once more, everyone, to our highlights for 2024. Firstly, we have our sales exceeding targets, and we achieved $1.63 billion in revenue for the year 2024 for the company and its operations and its management team. Yes, it exceeded our targets, but we expected this increase in revenue based on our plans and our growth plan and targets that we had and we have for the next five years, medium to short term. Our operating profit up by 92%, $95.22 million. Our gross profit, $248.41, up by 104% from $121.76 over the financial year 2023. And our net profit, the bottom line, up by 90% from $45.76 million over 2023. It's now for 2024, $86.85 million net profit for 2024. That's a huge accomplishment for the company, and it shows our commitment to what Regency sets its targets for and what we are set out to do and what we have set out to do. Okay, moving on to our Kingston service station. It was opened in 2024. Revenue increased 76%. Total expenses grew by 75%. Earnings per share 0.06% from 0.32 to 0.06%. Okay, our financial controller, Jerry Grant, will now delve into the details of the financials.
Good morning to our shareholders and the stakeholders. I am happy to present a snapshot of our performance for the full year, January to December 2024. Regency has generated $1.63 billion in sales for the period. We have reached the $1 billion milestone during our third quarter. This $1.6 billion represents a 76% increase from the $928 million earned in the comparative 2023 period. The increase in revenue was a direct result of the company operating 3 service stations in the reporting period compared to the 2 in the 2023 financial year. These figures are quite good, especially since Petroleum has decreased prices over the period. Given the increase in the gas station and the ability to sell more automotive fuel, the revenue composition has changed, where the LPG segment has accounted for 8%. I think last year this time it was about 24%. So with the addition of these gas stations, the increase in the automotive segment, it has, the earnings from the LPG has diminished. Gross profit increased by 104% from 121.76 million to 248.41 million, despite the challenge in keeping our direct operating costs down. The company profit before finance costs increased by 92% from 49.54 million to 95.22 million. All right, that's it. Profit before tax increased 90% from 45.76 million to 86.85 million. Net profit was 89% higher at 86.66 million than the 45.96 million in the prior period. Okay, we'll go to the next slide, please. Okay. All right. Our cash and cash equivalents closed the period at 12.76 million. This is down by 81% as we have invested a lot in our Spanish Town road service station and also on cylinders for the LPG segment, where we have invested about approximately 85 million during the year into that segment. The property, plant and equipment has increased 13% from 435.79 million to 490.41 million. Accounts receivable hit the $490 million. It's 106 million, increased by 7% over the period. A significant portion of our accounts receivables relates to advances that we have made on the Negril location. These funds will be set off against the leasing of the property. In fact, the set-off has commenced October 1st, 2024. As such, no cash payment will pass to the landlord until the balance has been liquidated. So in short, most of these receivables of the 106 million would have related to money that we advanced in the completion of that gas station. Long-term borrowing, there were no new borrowing during the period. Accounts payable increased by 34% as our service station increases and much more fuel had to be purchased. We made the best use of the credit facility that has been offered to us by our vendors, and our payables has been in line with the growth of the business. And this slide is now a graphical representation of what I have just mentioned for those who prefer this format. And you can just view it in a short while. Okay, the statement of cash flow. Cash generated by operation grew by 11%. I remember last year, this time, I think it was a negative figure. I'm happy to see a positive figure for this year. Cash used by investing activities increased by 17%. And cash used in financing activities increased by 65%. Portion of this is due to our additional finance lease. I will now turn over to Mr. Williams to continue.
Okay, Jerry, thank you for that insight on the financials for 2024. Now we're down to our company's outlook. Okay, so I'm happy to report, first of all, that Kingston Service Station has been in full operation since the last week of December. It has been highly anticipated by the general public, our shareholders, everyone in the corporate area have been looking forward to the opening of the service station, and we are now open since the last week of December. Now, as previously stated, we wanted to have these 3 service stations, full service stations, fully operational. So in our company's outlook, we are buckling down on the operations of these 3 full service stations. When I say buckling down, I mean we are doing our evaluations, our assessments based on operations of each station and profitability of each station, so we can know where we are in terms of financing for our future projects. Now, future projects, I can say that we have some projects that we are looking at now. We are in negotiations now, currently, for having with 2 projects on the table. We have 2 projects on the table right now. So we are currently in negotiations on these 2 projects. One, I would say, would require some significant financing, but it's preliminary stages. We're in the early stages now. I'm hoping that if all goes well, we can have at least 1, if not both, projects off the ground this year. And that would be based on the level of negotiations now. That would be coming towards the end of the 3rd to the beginning of the 4th quarter of this year, if all goes well. So currently, our outlook stands where we want to experience these profits and revenues from the operation of these 3 service stations without having any additional cost to the company with construction or any additional cost. Well, primarily because over the last 2 years, we have never been out of the construction process. When we just came to IPO, we were completing Paradise service station. After that, we're in the process of completing Negril service station. After that, we're in the process of completing Kingston service station, along with doing franchise agreements for the LPG with Just Gas, along with franchise agreements on the automotive fuel with our service station, Lido People's Choice. So right now we're having to be settled, and for this quarter, we don't have any projects on hand right now for this quarter, so we will just do our evaluations and assessments on the 3 service stations and the franchise, on the LPG, and decide how we move forward on the other 2 projects that we have on hand. So these 2 projects, I cannot speak on them right now because they are in the preliminary negotiations. But what I can tell you, that's for automotive. For the LPG though, if you notice, last year we have been organically spending on our cylinders. So we have been importing cylinders container by container throughout the year last year to grow our LPG household. We already participate in the market for the bulk distribution of LPG across the island based on our assets and what we have needed to supply the market bulk. So we are growing that organically. So we are going out and seeking business and growing the bulk LPG, which has been steadily growing. However, for the household LPG, we have been importing cylinders by container, one by one, as we go along, so we can grow it organically. We might not have seen much results from the LPG last year, but we are looking forward to see some results this year from the LPG prior to the expenditure that we made, our injection that we made into the LPG last year. Those not so much of a significant expenditure, but we still made some investment into the LPG last year, and we are hoping to reap those rewards this year. I don't want to state a quarter, but we're hoping to reap the rewards sometime during the course of the year because it takes time. The entire process of the LPG distribution for household, to get it off the ground to a certain level, it takes time. And when we invest in the LPG household, it takes time for the manufacturer. And I can't be specific in terms of cylinders. It takes time to place an order and to receive these cylinders, have them commissioned, and have them into the marketplace. So this entire process takes time. And we are not at a stage where we are purchasing 20, 30, 40 containers of cylinders as yet. So the similar turnover time as if we were to purchase 10 or 15 containers. It's almost a similar turnover time in purchasing 2 or 3 containers, because the same time similar time to manufacture, similar shipping time, similar clearance time, and whatever. It's just probably just a little bit smaller time period for what we are purchasing now. But in the general scope of things, it's a similar time period, Now, so for the LPG, we are looking to reap some rewards from that this year. So with regards to the company's outlook, we have two major projects. Well, we have one major project, and we have another project looking at now. We are hoping to come to the table with that very soon, or sometime this year. And that is for our medium or short-term expansion growth. We still have our plans for medium to long-term growth with continued investment in LPG, continued service stations being across the island, because we want to be a household name in Jamaica for petroleum products, not only LPG, but for automotive fuel. And I would say we are on our way there, considering that we have been listed for 2 years and we have accomplished so much. And again, this could only be in place because we have included the Almighty Father into our operations, and we have allowed him to take control of our decisions, and we can, it's a clear testament, our testimony as to what he has done to the company with our growth, what we have achieved over such a short period of time. So we are looking forward to the future of Regency Petroleum and its continued growth. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Andrew. We are right now at the question and answer stage. So I'm going to ask Jerry to join us, and we will get right into the Q&A. So, seems we're having a little glitch there. Let's try that again. All right. So we will jump right in. Jerry, can you do a test for us to confirm that we can hear you?
Okay. Are you hearing?
We're hearing you. We're hearing
All right,
you.
that's good. That's great.
All right. So, Andrew, there is the elephant in the room that we do need to address, right? Though it was not in the financial year of 2024, it did happen recently, and there are a lot of questions around it. So let's just take the time to address it. There was a fire that happened in the vicinity of RPL's location, and the audience want to know. We do have several questions about it, so we'll just jump right in. I'll give you a moment to address it first, and then if there are any questions that are unanswered thereafter, we can jump into those questions. So please go right ahead and explain to the audience what happened, as much as you know, around this fire and how it has impacted RPL. How do you expect that incident to impact your bottom line as a company and your operations overall?
Well, Renee, with regards to the recent fire, it's a fortunate and unfortunate situation. For me personally, it's a very unfortunate situation. Now, speaking on behalf of Regency Petroleum, I can say once more that thanks to the Almighty, Regency has been spared. I mean, Regency has been spared. I cannot say it enough, but there has been absolutely no loss to our equipment, any assets. The service station was untouched. There was no harm or damage to our service station in the vicinity of the fire. The fire was actually at our family-owned business warehouse that housed tires and lubricants, etc. So fortunately, and thank you, I have to say a special thank you to the Jamaica Fire Department, who really stood out and made all effort to ensure that that fire was contained in the warehouse and not spread across the neighboring buildings or our houses or our buildings close by. So I'm happy to report that Regency Petroleum was spared from that fire that took place at the warehouse, a close by warehouse. However, based on the geographical location of our service station at the head office, it's actually looking at the head office, we were cordoned off due to the investigations that are taking place. So we have to close that dispensary. I have to call it a dispensary because this is not really a full service station. This is more of a sentimental service station. It's not a service station per se. It's a dispensary for 90 octane fuel. This is where we actually started out. So that's why I say it's a sentiment. It's more sentiments more for the company, because this location is where Regency Petroleum started out, and we basically only dispense 90 octane fuel here. There's no 87, no automotive diesel fuel. There's no ultra low sulfur that's dispensed there as a full service station would. So it's just a dispensary for 90. So it's actually as I said, it's a sentimental service station. Which we as soon as all investigations are given the go ahead, we hope to continue our operations there. So again, I'm happy to report that no head office, everything is in order. Our dispensary for the 90 octane has been damaged. So we are hoping that as soon as all investigations are completed, just because of the geographical location, we have to be closed now. But we're hoping very soon that we can reopen. But as I stated, it's more of a sentimental service station, because we're starting to spend 90. It's one of the lowest revenue earning station right now. Consider it's just one product being dispensed. So that's where it is right now. We just eagerly anticipating the go ahead, so we can continue our cleanup operations around the warehouse, so we can have that area reopened.
All right, thank you so much for that, Andrew. So coming out of that, there are a few questions that I think we can still take. Ryan says that we understand that there was no damage to the service station, but was there any damage to the LPG operation?
No, the LPG operation is by Crawford, St. Elizabeth. So and I can tell you, when I say Regency is so superior, at our location, we even had some storage of 100-pound cylinders and 25-pound cylinders, which were untouched. You have to bear in mind that we don't really store products, we distribute. So what we'll do is we don't even store much cylinders at the plant also, because what we do, we refill and distribute to our dealers and distributors. So we wouldn't have a storage facilities per se for LPG cylinders. We just probably store very small amounts, and it will be for any extended period of time, because whatever is stored, we have to get it out into the marketplace.
All right, thank you for that. There were a few more questions that were along that line. So I think you would have the audience would have received the answers. So we will move on to the other questions, right? And of course, audience, if there is anything else that we would have missed about the file, any concerns around that, please feel free to drop that in the chat and we'll take it later on. So Limitless is asking, well, that's the one we took. When do you expect the Spanish Town gas station operations to really come into play? And I'll let you answer that. I don't know what you mean by really, but
okay. Well, it has really been in play since the first week of December. But if you mean in terms of revenues to disclose, it will have been in the first quarter this year. The end of this first quarter, end of March, when we're doing our financials for the first quarter, you will see revenues. You will see the effects of Kingston Service Station in that financial quarter in terms of revenues. You'll see whatever impact the Kingston Service Station would have made to the revenues from this first quarter. So we won't see anything right now in terms of revenues or impact of revenues until the first quarter is completed, because we just commenced operation the last week of December. So the last week is like a week in the fourth quarter financials last year. So we're hoping at the end of this first quarter, you will see some impact on the revenue. We're not hoping, we will see some impact on the revenue, positive impact on the revenue.
All right, thank you. How do you think the revenue from the Spanish Town station will compare to your other cocoa gas stations, company owned, company operated?
Well, as I stated earlier, we are our management team. We actually have weekly meetings, at least once a week meetings, doing evaluations and assessments on the serve each service station. What that means is that we look at our overheads, we look at our revenue, we look at our margins, because each service station will carry a different margin or markup. So we have to balance and do an evaluation constantly, and we have to also be competitive. So these evaluations are taking place, we cannot say right now how it compares, but based on what we are seeing so far, we have been exceeding our targets in terms of volumes. But however, margins is a different thing. So I cannot speak to that right now. But what I can say to you is that Kingston volumes, in terms of liters that is being sold, is one of the highest volume stations where I have now. But the margins, that's different. It's a different argument altogether. And overhead. So when you apply all of these, so we have to wait on our accounting team now to apply all of these, and that's why we do our weekly meetings. So we can try to reduce our overheads as much as possible to increase our profits and balance the margin to be competitive within the marketplace. So it's a whole balancing act.
Of course. So thank you for that. I think there was another question from Limitless around which station is your biggest revenue driver, but I think in that response just now you'd have indicated that we'd need to wait until the end of Q1 at least to be able to respond to that appropriately,
for this year.
Right?
For last year, I can just mention that was Negril proved to be the highest revenue.
All right. Do you know what percentage of the revenues came from that station? I think Jerry might have that.
Well, if you want to know percentage, well, Jerry can answer about what you're talking about for automotive fuel, or because remember we're made up of LPG, automotive fuel, bulk fuel. So the chart is quite dissected in terms of with regards to automotive retail fuel. And so of that chart, we would have an automotive retail fuel section or slice. Now, of that chart, Jerry can correct me. I see if it said that by Negril service station would have made up of that slice of the pie, 45 to 50% of the total revenue or profitability of that slice of the pie when it comes out. Because remember, the pie is sliced up into automotive fuel retail, automotive fuel wholesale, which is bulk, LPG retail, and LPG bulk sales. So it's 4 different segments. So of the automotive fuel, and I hope I answered the question correctly, or to the point what you want me to answer. Of the automotive fuel sales, retail sales, which will be the service station sales, Negril last year would have made up to 45-50% of the overall revenue of that slice.
Jerry, anything to add to that?
No, I think it's pretty much on target there.
Okay. All right. Thank you. The next question we're going to take is from Humble Boss, and he's asking if there is any gas station takeover happening in the short term. I believe you spoke to that earlier as well, Andrew, as in what is on the table. So we'll move right on to his next question, in which he's asking what is happening with the convenience store at the Negril station.
Okay, the convenience store, based on our evaluation so far, that's a good question. The convenience store, we have put in some infrastructure work into the convenience store. However, we are doing some evaluations currently as to the profitability currently based on the level of investment that will be made for the convenience store. So we are looking at some options. We're looking at options for the convenience store. One option I put into the public is that it is a possibility that we could lease it to a franchise operator. That's what we're looking at, to increase the profitability of operating a convenience store. A convenience store is somewhat similar to a small grocery shop, a convenience store. As what it says, it's a convenience store. Now, the convenience store, we have to do evaluations on profitability. It involves a number of items that we have that involves additional administrative work, both for accounting and for management. So when you you have to ensure that operating a convenience store in a particular location, it's going to be profitable. So we have to do our evaluations into the profitability because, I mean, a convenience store primarily sells hot or cold beverages, primarily, just any little convenience stuff you can pick up. And the profitability on these items, like a bottle of water, a bottle of soda, a bottle of juice, is so marginal that when you're employing staff for 2 shifts per day, we're talking about staff, cashiers and attendants inside, along with supervisors or management team for the convenience store. You have to pay those bills. You have to pay the electric bill. When you have 4, 5, 6 refrigerators being run with an electric bill, we can do solar for it, which is a serious consideration right now. But when you have that electric bill and those overheads coming in, it might appear that the profitability is huge, but when you do the evaluation on it, which is why we are happy to be a listed company now, because when being a listed company, you have to take time out to do these evaluations and these accounting processes to know whether it is profitable or not. So currently, based on our evaluations so far, I mean, totally honest with you, we are looking probably to franchise or lease this to somebody who's already in that line of business of a convenience store or fast food or whatever, so they can manage that, and then Regency would reap profitability from the lease arrangement, rent arrangement, whatever, and we would have a lot of that overhead costs will be incorporated into our financials. So as I said, that is the reason why we have these weekly management meetings, because we have to do our continuous evaluation, our market on the ground, our research and development. Going out, we have persons we call mystery shoppers at the gas station, just to ensure our customer service is up to par or better than what you can experience. So we have our marketing persons who independently go to the service stations to cause mischief, basically, to see the response from the attendants or whoever, just to make sure that we are above par when it comes to the customer service, because it's a very competitive game, it's a competitive industry, and we have to stand out. So we as I said, it's all about profitability and revenues when it comes down to the convenience store. So it's still under some evaluation, and we're looking at different options with regards to that. That's why regular hasn't been over as yet.
All right, thank you for that. And just to note, the Kingston location does have a convenience store, correct? So that one was deemed.
Yes, and that one actually is on a similar basis of what I mentioned before. It's not being operated by Regency.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that clarification. So I think this one is going to be for Jerry. And of course, Andrew, you're welcome to chime in as well. The question is from Foot Foreman. What is your target administration expense margin?
Oh, what? Jerry, you want to go ahead?
Well,
he's frozen.
I'm not seeing.
All right, so
hearing Jerry, so you can go ahead.
Until he comes. All right, so our target administration expense. Now, our target administration expense wouldn't be general. It would have been specific to each location. So administrative costs at each location. Yes, we have probably a range that we would go into, we would entertain, that I would don't want to exceed. But for each location, based on the operations there and the profitability there, it would vary a bit. So I don't know if he's asking about percentage-wise of the revenue, but we always try to, I can tell you, we try to incorporate technology as much as possible and to increase our efficiency. So that is why we have our weekly meetings again, because in running a business or a company such as Regency Petroleum, your overheads and administrative costs are very, very significant to our profitability, how well it is managed. So currently we try to include, there is back, I'll just finish up this section, my comments. All right, so currently we try to evaluate our administrative costs and try to be very prudent with our decision making in terms of employment of personnel that is needed, and to fully utilize and make each administrative personnel or the cost be fully effective and efficient. So they are fully utilized. We don't have any unnecessary overhead or administrative expense. That is why we meet and we say, well, we can eliminate this, or we need to take on this additional administrative cost. So in terms of margin wise, well, Jerry probably can answer in terms of the relation to percentage of revenue we plan to spend on administrative expense. But I hope I'm answering the question.
Yes. So I think you've answered the question with respect to the measures that you're putting in place to keep it under control. Jerry, would you be able to share what is the target in terms of the margin?
No, I don't. I don't have that figure with me right now, so I wouldn't be able to expound on that.
All right. So thank you. We'll get back to Foreman on that one. I believe there was a follow-up to that question as well. Yes, here it is. He's asking you to speak to your approach to managing expenses versus your set target. And I believe that's the question you were answering before, Andrew. So we can move to the next one from Limitless, which is asking, are you planning or considering any fundraising this year?
Well, as I initially stated at the beginning of this meeting, we want to see these service stations operated first. We have 2 projects that we are negotiating now. So we will determine how we raise funds for these projects if they come to fruition. We are hoping that they come to fruition by the end of this year. So upon that, we will know, based on the first quarter results of this year, the second quarter results of this year, what approach we would need to take in terms of fundraising. And we have many options with regards to fundraising. So we want to see our profitability.
All right, fair enough. Lorraine is asking, is there any LPG distribution in Montego Bay? She says she has not seen any.
No, currently we started out in Westmoreland. We have inched up to Hanover and parts of St. Elizabeth, but not currently in St. James. St. James we consider to be a huge marketplace, almost comparable to Kingston. Almost comparable to Kingston. If we are going to go into Kingston, Portmore, or Montego Bay, we have to be fully prepared for that in terms of our resources, our assets, our cylinders. So on the basis that we're currently growing organically, it wouldn't be prudent for us right now to jump into St. James market just yet. We have plans to be in St. James and the corporate area. We have, I wouldn't say very soon, but soon. We have plans coming on board. So that again is part of one of the projects that we have being negotiated now. So one of the projects we are negotiating now has to do with LPG, significantly with LPG. And if that comes off the ground, then we will look to be in St. James and the corporate area. Quite soon, or soon enough. So nothing yet for St. James.
Okay, thank you for that. And thank you for the question, Lorraine. Coming on the heels of that, what is the potential for LPG growth as you see it now based on your current market share?
There's a huge potential based on the market share that we hold. We hold a very small fraction of the market, very small percentage of the market, very small. So that is good and bad. It's bad that we don't have a very small market. However, it allows us a lot of room for growth. And LPG market is known to be a higher well, market is known to be a higher margin profitability. It carries higher profits, higher margins for LPG. However, the other side to it is that it's capital intensive, which I always say. So for LPG, we growing organically. We want to do a significant investment into LPG. If one of the negotiations that we have on the table now comes through, it will be a significant injection for Regency in the LPG market, and we're looking forward to that. However, let's say it doesn't come through, for argument's sake. This is what we have a planning. We still plan to inject heavily into the LPG cylinders. I would say within the next 2 years, year to 2 years, to have that off the ground. We're looking to enter the corporate area, Kingston, St. James, Portmore. We're in Portmore for the bulk sales and a little bit, but to make a significant impact on the market. You know, we're looking for the next 2 years if this project, what we have on it doesn't come through. If it comes through, it's still going to be close to the 2 years, probably a year and a half. So I would say in the next 2 years, because LPG is where we started from. You know, it's our core. So for sure, Regency will be extending ourselves into the LPG market share. This is a question of timing as to when we will do so, but for sure it will seek out greater market share in the LPG market.
Fantastic, thank you. So Jerry, we're gonna hop over to you for a little bit. There is a question from Ryan, and I believe Limitless had asked a similar question. What are the plans for repayment of he has 215K here, debt, which is due September 30th, 2025. Hold on, Jerry, we're not hearing you.
Yes, definitely we are going to refinance. We are looking at refinancing. We are going to refinance that that debt. Because that was taken out for the construction of the gas station, just open, so we're gonna refinance it, give us time to build up our reserve to settle it.
Just to add to that, I can add to that also that that debt was taken into consideration that Kingston service station would actually be open from last year, February. But due to the delays, so we were considering that having Kingston service station open last year, February, would have revenues from 2 to 3 quarters for that year, where we could probably make, if not pay down or pay off the debt, we could make a significant payment towards the debt. But unfortunately, it didn't work that way, and we actually started construction. We have to commence operation in December, say January this year. So 2025 will be when the operations would have already started, the last week of December to the beginning of this year. So we definitely would need to refinance it. However, we will be shopping it in terms of, we will look for the best deal there is for us to refinance. So in order to protect our shareholders and the company's expenses and profitability, we will definitely shop to ensure that we get the best value on that refinancing cost.
Thank you guys so much for that. I believe this question from Garfield was about that loan as well. He was asking what are the loan terms, no movement on the loan, and I think you would have addressed the no movement part. Is there anything that you can say about the terms of the loan apart from when it is due?
Well, I can say when it is due in terms of, when it's due, and in terms of in terms of interest rate, I don't know. What is it that I don't know, because the only thing that is significant in my mind currently is the due date and how we can pay it down quickly. So basically, the due date is coming up this year. So we're looking, our priorities right now is to shop it and get the most cost-effective refinancing for the company. You know, and then now, as I said, we will see our profitability. That's why I say we need to see our profitability. So Kingston service station should be able to pay down the loan on its own. You know, and it's just a month since we've been operating, or 2 months since we've been operating. So when we do our financials, we have an accurate idea as to the profitability of the, and then we can do a future plan. So probably that question can be asked to me in the next meeting. When we have our first quarter, we say, okay, the profitability for Kingston is X, and we can pay this amount towards the loan. So, by another year, 2 years time, the loan will be paid off if we continue at this rate. Or we're going to take some funding from Kingston and from our general reserves that we have to pay down the debt. Or we're probably going to do an APO to pay down the debt. I mean, whatever, because if we have an opportunity where we have projects coming on board, you want to use that fund to help, that reserve to help finance those growth opportunity, opportunities. So we I'm sorry that I can't answer you.
Excuse me, Mr. Van. Let me also add that this is not a regular bank loan. It's really a bond where it has a set repayment date. So the payment of the principal is not a monthly ongoing thing like your regular bank loan. It's a bond that was taken out with a set date. The repayment date is September 30th. And as we have mentioned before, we are looking to refinance it when the due date arrives.
All right. So thank you. Garfield is adding some clarification to his question. He said for the loan, he's asking about 10-year interest rate security. And
well, interest rate was 8%.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And
it's a 2 years 2 years bond, US bond.
Right. Thank you for that. And as you would have known, as you would have said before, it was for the Kingston location. So I think that would have been answered while you were speaking, Andrew. As a few points came in about a rights issue being better than refinancing, or suggesting APO or rights issue. And Ryan also said, what if you could access interest-free funding to repay the loan? What exactly does that look like, Ryan? What are you suggesting? Yes. So
other than maybe he's thinking about maybe a AP or something like that.
No, right. Probably a shareholder want to give us an interest-free loan.
Maybe you know how to contact them. Tell them how to contact you. Right. Yeah. So along those same lines, Limitless was asking, would RPL consider an equity raise with the junior market limits being raised? And I think you would have answered that in terms of, yes, Ryan, equity raise. We got you. An equity raise with the junior market limit being raised. And I think you would have responded to that with regards to the consideration of what the projects are, what you need to undertake. Right. And what that would look
just raise like. Equity for raising equity's sake. We'd have to have a particular project, as we have proven that we only raise funds when we need it to complete a particular project.
Exactly so. So there are a few more questions. Tavares was asking, when will the Spanish Town Road location start selling low sulfur diesel?
We're in the process now. The current approval that we had was only for 3 products. So we did some evaluations within the area and some research within the area to determine which one of the diesel products we would sell, whether it would be ADO, automotive diesel, or ULSD, ultra low sulfur. And it came out, it's a significant difference. The bulk of product being used there in that location would have been ADO. So we are in the process, however, because we didn't want a hold up with the authorities or agencies to get an additional approval at the time of construction for ULSD, an additional product to be dispensed there. So we wanted to operate 3 months. We started the process already for the applications to include ULSD. So yes, there are plans to start dispensing ULSD at the location so we can increase our revenue, increase our profits. Although it's marginal in terms of what, but it's still an increase. So So we are looking to do our approvals. As I tell you, the approval process is something that can take a short period of time or a long period of time. It's up to the agents and the requirements for that particular location. But we will make every effort to ensure that we do our best in our applications and approve and gaining approvals so we can start dispensing low sulfur at that location. I don't foresee any issues with it. It's just a timeline.
All right, noted. Shakira is asking, will there be an ATM service anytime soon?
Well, I know of more than one institution has approached us regarding it, and we are awaiting some response. But yes, the infrastructure is actually there for an ATM, for an ATM machine. So as to which institution or commercial bank will take it up, still in negotiations, right? But I assume one will be there as long as it's agreed.
And would this be across the board in terms of all the stations, or is this a specific station that you're referencing?
For Kingston right now.
Understood. All right. Ryan again is now asking about the bond. Who are the beneficial owners of the bond that is due in September?
That is GK. Who would do the bond allocation?
Right. Limitless is asking, are you worried about the FESCO Oval also opening on Spanish Town Road?
Well, what I can tell you, Regency's policy is not to be concerned about our competition in terms of location with regards to Regency, because if you look at our service stations, they speak for themselves in terms. Negril is right next to two other service stations. Paradise is right next to two other service stations. Kingston, I think, is the only service station that's a little bit distance away, and it's still within a mile radius of our competitors. So we always welcome the competition, especially being a Jamaican-owned company. You know, we are very patriotic, and we are proud of our Jamaican companies, and regardless of competition or no competition or close by or whatever. But we are proud to know that our competitor, which is a Jamaican-owned company, will be in our vicinity. And I mean, the market is there for everybody. It's all up to the operations of the company. And there's a market share there for everybody to participate in. Again, it's up to the operations of the company and your strategies that you put in place. You know, but I'm happy to know that a Jamaican company is opening another service station, you know, an industry, because with this industry, you have a lot of multinationals taking part, and it's good to know that our Jamaicans can stand up in terms of be competitive with multinational companies in the same market space. So I'm very proud of FESCO in doing what they're doing now, and I encourage other Jamaican competition. It might sound strange to also take part and improve, because we are all spending in Jamaica and retaining in Jamaica our funds in Jamaica, and Jamaica will eventually benefit, which will automatically trickle down to our marketing companies benefiting also. So it will, everyone, it's a win-win situation, I see, when our Jamaican companies actually go out and expand, especially in this market space with multinationals. You know, I'm not talking against the multinational per se, but it's our country, you know, and we need to, we have the potential. I'm sure that we have the potential here. Our companies here in every sector, every industry, have the potential to be a multinational. You know, so don't discount ourselves. I don't want us to discount ourselves. You know, and say that we can't do it. You know, we're not big enough like the multinational. No man, every industry I encourage us, because it's a global marketplace now. So we have to be global in our operations and our thinking. So
absolutely.
We welcome FESCO. That's my story.
All right. I really do appreciate that perspective. We love the patriotism and the perspective of there being enough for everybody. The market is indeed large enough, so there's no reason to try and tear each other down. So congrats to both, right? Now, this, of course, is a big question that is coming out of the recent happenings as well, the recent incident. How has your risk management approach changed, or is being reviewed since the fire occurred?
Well, that's an easy question to answer. Reason being, whatever we have in place obviously worked because to have that magnitude of fire right next door to our service station, it is amazing that no asset for Regency Petroleum has been tarnished or corrupted or damaged. So whatever we have in place, I would say we have a good policy space, and we also, one of the main things we have in place is that we put God first. So it's a clear, indication when you see that magnitude of fire that took place right next door to us, and to see that we weren't affected. So we have safety in place, safety procedures in place. We have innovative technology in place at our stations, and to say that, there was no fire at the service station. So whatever safety measure we had in terms of security, shutdown, valves, all the turn off and safety equipment to protect our equipment, safety equipment that we have used there obviously worked. So what we'll do is ensure that all the other stations have safety equipment what we have in place is in working order and is working. The fire suppression systems and whatever I'm talking about is in order, and we have our fire consultant in place also, who is a member of the Jamaica Fire Brigade. So we consult constantly with them, and we do training for our staff with the fire department, so they are aware and ready to deal with a situation such as a fire or anything hazardous around the surroundings. How to treat it and how to deal with it. So we are in constant training and dialogue with our fire consultant.
Well, that's reassuring. Also, about that, is there any consideration to fully renovate that station, considering that it is now closed or not operating?
Well, it's not a matter of renovating the station, it's a matter of just pressing a switch and start operating. We did some renovations to the station last year in terms of a canopy and some other cosmetic stuff. So right now, as I said, it's just a matter of geographic location why it's not being operated, because of the location of the station. And again, this service station is a sentimental service station. It's a service station, that dispenses 90 only. So we are just not even 1/3 of the products. We don't sell diesel low sulfur 87, just 90. And as I said, when we opened our Paradise service station, it was even in serious consideration of closing that station. Since we know I had a full service station at Paradise, but it was a matter of sentiment where we maintained just to keep it. It was not a cost to the company per se. It added to our revenue. Yes, it had addition to the revenue, but it wasn't costing the company to operate. It was an addition to the revenue, and it's a sentiment of being where we just started out. So that's with Savamar.
Understood. So we have about 2 more questions. Ryan is very interested in the loan, rather the bond. So he's asking if it has any clause for conversion to equity.
No, none of that is a part of the stipulation of the bond.
Okay. Thank you for that. And I think our last question, as it is right now, will Q1 be your best Q1 ever or your best quarter ever? Is that your
With
expectation?
regards to revenue, we're looking forward to revenue and profitability. We're looking forward to seeing the results from Q1 And based on our track record and growth pattern over the past 2 years, each time a new service station comes on board, it usually increases our revenue and our profitability.
Certainly. So to close out, I did want to just highlight 2 commendations from the audience. Tavares said, for the past couple of years, RPL made the best use of IPO funds in its time. So congrats on that. Kudos to you and the team. And Humble Boss says, congrats to the performance from RPL. Great work. So again, congratulations on a great 2024. A question just came in from Chev. Chev, maybe you joined late. The question is, did any workers get burned by the fire? If so, how is their recovery? And Andrew would have responded to that several times. Nobody got injured from RPL. None of RPL's property was damaged. Correct? Right. So again, thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you for the time, as always, and the transparency you have shared openly with our audience, with your shareholders, as you always do, to ensure that we know where things are with the company. So we thank you for this time. We thank you for the opportunity to get some insight onto what went on for 2024 and what the plans are for 2025. And we look forward to seeing you again for the Q1 earnings call. Thank you to our audience for being here. Thank you for your participation and your questions. We look forward to seeing you as well for the Q1 earnings call. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Okay.
Thank you.